Okay, our next speakers are Susan Powell and Karen Pfeffer. Susan is the GIS and map librarian at the University of California, Berkeley, where she manages the map collection in the Earth Sciences and Map Library. She holds master's degrees in geography and library science from Indiana University and previously worked as a GIS specialist at Yale University. She specializes in helping students, researchers, and the public access and understand geospatial data and maps. She also serves on the board of Guerrilla Cartography, a nonprofit that publishes crowdsourced atlases and is passionate about mapping technologies and data accessibility. Karen is a self-described information wrangler. If you put it on your LinkedIn profile, I'm going to see it.
I love to wrangle.
She received a BA from Mills College and a master's degree after my heart here in library and information science from San Jose State University. She is currently circulation supervisor and technical processing assistant at the Earth Sciences Library, Earth Sciences and Map Library. Thank you, Karen and Susan.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for having us. We're delighted to be here. Forward. So yes, as Tom mentioned, we are both employees at the UC Berkeley Earth Sciences and Maps Library, which has about 500,000 maps and air photos in its collection. We're open to the public, and we encourage you to come and visit Monday through Friday. And we also have some occasional exhibits and pop-up exhibits, which you're welcome to visit as well. Yeah, I don't think we need to do any more introduction.
No, that was pretty thorough.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about maps and student engagement with maps, but I wanted to start by saying that maps are just inherently engaging. These are some pictures of my kids at home, and partly they're playing with maps because I gave them some maps to play with, but also they took right to them. They didn't need any introduction to them. They're really helpful for people to kind of dive in. People like to see themselves in the map. Playing with space is something that kids are inherently drawn to, and we see that with the undergraduates that come through our library as well. It's really easy for them to find themselves in the map, locate themselves in space. And I would just like to share, I was talking with an instructor who teaches a game design class, and she said, you know, every time I teach this game design class, I force the students to start with a map, because otherwise they're just going to do something like, you know, finding the froyo or something. Like they have some idea that's not spatially based and it's not very interesting. But if you make them start with a map, it really starts to get them to think about the world, the space involved, and it makes the story much more interesting. So we love that. All right. And at the library, we have engagement with students in many different ways. Kind of the core bread and butter is class visits. So we work with a cartography class, we work with classes from across the university, all different disciplines, including natural sciences, planning, art history. Everyone is interested in maps. It's a really great example. We also do consultations with students, so we help them kind of dig deeper into some of their research projects and use maps, both physical and digital, in their work. And we also just have a lot of people coming through our library. The way that it's situated in the building, it acts as a corridor or a hallway to get to one of the most popular classrooms in the building. So we get a lot of people stopping by. And we have a lot of globes on display, both in the kind of hallway area, a really big tactile map that just draws people in. So it's really fun.
And we also have a lot of natural wanderers. Our building used to have dinosaur bones, which has been relocated to another building. So we have people that come in expecting to see dinosaurs, and we say, well, no, there's someplace else. But while you're here, and then they sort of get our little spiel about the map collection, and then they engage with it and get to see the cool things that we're doing and what our students are doing too. We also host a couple of student clubs. There's a Berkeley Unified Geographers Club that does an annual scavenger hunt with us every single year. Sorry, Tom, I'm trying to project. They do a scavenger hunt every year with us for Halloween. The first year we did it as more of an introduction to the collection and how to navigate and the things that we wanted to highlight as, you know, important and special. The year after, I gave them the option, do you want to do something similar? Do you want to do something that's historical or something that's like literature based? And what do you want to do? And they said history, which I said, oh no. And then we looked at the history of witches geographically around the world. We do exhibits in the space. They're both physical and virtual. So physical space, we have an atrium that we do biannual exhibits. They stay up for a semester, and they started out as an endeavor by myself with maybe a couple of interested students, but they've become completely student-driven, which is really exciting. And then we have a virtual side of it that sometimes corresponds to what's in the atrium, sometimes it's a little bit different. And those are also student-driven through story maps, which we're going to show in a little bit. And then we have our student employees, and we might have one here. You might have a picture of him later, so you can, where's Waldo, find him later. But they are our key informants for what's important to different communities on campus. They also are sneaky outreach representatives, so they get their peers in, they talk about the collection, they share the things that we do and help engage in ways that we sometimes are unable to. So they're great.
Yeah, so today's presentation, we're really going to focus on the student employees. We could spend hours talking about engagement with students, but the student employees are kind of near and dear to our hearts and are key to our work. We've had GIS students working in the Earth Sciences and Map Library for over a decade, both a combination of graduate students and undergraduates. They're really kind of part of this mission of the UC Berkeley Library to support students as both employees, but also as learners. So we try to give people opportunities to learn and get unified skills for their careers going forward. One highlight from the past, this is several years ago now, was a student worked with me on creating a database of Mongolian 20th century data. So he was responsible for scanning the maps, georeferencing them, and then digitizing the features off of that. And now all those layers are available through our data catalog. And I'll let Karen talk about the Circ Desk students.
And then we have a traditional circulation desk team. We in the Maps Library are part of a larger sciences division at UC Berkeley. So we do have about a core 5 people that work consistently within the Maps Library. We have one student who is geography focused, but then other people within environmental design, natural resources. And then we have 40 people within our division that are student library employees, and they float in and out. And at one point in their library career, they will come and work with the maps and be part of our map collection. And it's great because when they do, sometimes they are really interested in learning more, and we do see repeat customers in that way, and they engage with student projects, and whether they be GIS related. We also won't show any examples of them today, but I can answer questions about other things that we do with UX and web design and other things that we're sort of like going towards in the next semester. So they're still under development, but other ways that we can help them in their journeys as learners, but also within their future career endeavors. Oh yeah. So we thought what was really interesting too. So normally these two would be very separate. In our library before we did sort of like a mini renovation, our GIS students would sit in our back office and they would sit at a computer. They would be working on their projects in a very solo way. And then we had a conversation because we were doing some movement with desks and spaces regardless, and we wanted to move our student employees out to the circulation desk so the GIS and the Circ team could be available together. And also because we wanted to move our large format scanner and a couple other sort of like spatial reasons for doing it. But the bonus is that we then had these two teams working collectively together. So it was the first time that our circulation team could be a part of the GIS conversation. The GIS team was then a part of the circulation conversation, and they started to engage with each other and learn about things and get really excited about the different projects that they were doing, which I think also led to them wanting to do these special projects, whether it be exhibition-based or GIS project-based, story map-based. And there's sort of an organic pipeline of coming in and working at the circulation desk and then maybe wanting to learn a little bit more and engage a different way that was really more about the library and less about coming to the library and doing your homework and maybe leaving at the end of the day.
All right. So this is just a quick overview of the variety of projects that our students are working on. We've been working on kind of corralling our air photos into a more legible viewer for patrons, and that's been a over a decade project of scanning the air photos themselves and the index maps. And we'll talk more about this project in just a minute. But it's really been kind of one part that a lot of students have been working on. And then we have exhibits and also some kind of more GIS projects. And the thing that we wanted to highlight with this slide is just that there's a large variety of projects. Traditionally, what we've done is kind of said, here's the projects that we're working on, here's what we'd like you to work on this semester. And this semester, Karen and I kind of flipped the script and gave the students, including both the GIS students and the circulation students, a choice of the projects that they would like to work on. So we kind of pre-curated the things that we were interested in that would help the library, and then gave the students kind of more flexibility in choosing what they wanted to work on. And that's what we're going to highlight today is four of those projects that came out of that basket of choices.
But without further ado, we couldn't do what we do without our students. So we wanted to highlight some of these core students that have been working on projects, minus one because I did not have a picture of them. So they are, represented in spirit. But we have Esma and Sal. Esma is from the Environmental Design Program and works mostly in the GIS arena. She also has some interest in developing story maps and has a real artistic sense and has really grown into that language. Sal is part of our Natural Resources College and has been working on a series of GIS clipped data sets. His current research, he's a senior, and his culminating project included studying a lot of unincorporated areas within the Bay Area. So we were really interested in his perspective in expanding the scope of how we're looking at city and county-wide data. Then there's Zach. He is here. So he's the one waving behind you. And Zach is within the geography department. I think you're the only one in the geography department, and also one of the members of the Bug Club, so very heavily in the geography department. And Zach has recently been working on the air photo locator that was developed by that gentleman next to him, Michael, standing in front of the very large map. And Michael was the creator and developer of our air photo locator and has left us, but has created a series of instructions that Zach is finessing and making into really nice digital curation so that we can take this project in the future and make sure that it is workable and can be maintained for future generations, even when we lose them all eventually because of graduation.
I do. Okay. All right. So our first up here is a student project from Asma. It was started as kind of a brainstorming idea. She's worked on story maps in the past, both with Karen for some exhibits at the library, and then also as student kind of class projects. But she was interested in kind of taking this idea and really building something from scratch. And she and some other students brainstormed the idea of a California National Parks road trip, kind of getting ready for summer thing. And it just coincidentally aligned with a Maps and More exhibit that we had planned for the spring, which was about California National Park maps, in conjunction with one of our staff members who's a professional photographer who's done residencies at some of the California National Parks. So they were kind of nice synergy there. And it was really exciting to see Asma's voice develop as she went through this project. She really led the project in every piece, from researching the maps, scanning them on our large format scanner, writing the text and constructing the narrative, and kind of putting together the technology of the story map itself. It's been viewed almost 150 times since April, so we're really happy with the kind of exposure that it's gotten. And I think it's really a nice, it's been a nice thing for her to have now to carry forward. She's going to be a senior next year, and as she starts applying for jobs, she can point to this as a project that really has her voice in it. And I think in the interest of time, we might not dive out into the actual project, but encourage you to do that on your own time.
And then this is the person that was not photographed but is here within spirit, Aidan Del Real. Aidan was going into the summer as somebody who was going to be leaving us and wanted to do something that was sort of going to be something that they could take with them. That's something that spoke to their time at the map library as a student, but also wanting to create something that would help us in the future. And we were going into Pride, and Idan was very interested in creating something that spoke to queer cartography, exploring LGBTQI plus places. Originally, we talked about doing something United States based, but then we landed on, we don't want to approach this globally. We want to talk about different spaces, both the positive and sort of negative impacts around the world and how queer folk experience those spaces. So it is multinational. And it has had interesting effects. It's had a real resonance with our community. It has been something that we've referenced within reference interactions. It's helped us think about, what maps are being created. Are there maps that we can collect? Are there things out there? And if there are, what do we want to continue to collect so that we can be holistic and involving these communities within our larger community too. So it's been one thing that I feel like really has been very resonant recently. Again, please explore.
Yeah, so the air photo locator is like a whole different animal. It is the sum of a lot of different moving pieces. We have about 40,000 air photos in our collection from about 300 different air photo sets. And historically, they've been very, very hard to find. John Jablonski over at the other counter back there also has lots of experiences and kind of a different approach, but overlapping approach to air photos. So we drew on some of his work. But the part that Michael really had was in developing this interactive one-stop shop to find all of the air photos. So now within the catalog, you can zoom to an area of interest, find the indexes, the air photo sets that cover that area, and then go to an interactive index that will let you see, click on individual points to see which areas are covered. And if we've scanned and made available online the air photo itself, it has an image of that right there, so you can see it. And before, this took like a half hour of explanation with each individual person that wanted to use our air photo collection. So I was really impressed with the way that Michael pulled all of these different moving pieces together and took into account a lot of user feedback as well. All right, and last but not least.
I will say too, we did notice in this past semester, once the air photo locator went live, a lot more engagement and a lot more people coming in and especially asking about the air photos and using them physically within the collection, which I had not seen since I started. So it was really great to have sort of like some tangible evidence that this is effective and that we're accessing the people that we want to get to. But then last but not least, and this is another project that Zach is working on in addition to the air photo locator. And it's something that we presented as wanting to gain some more insight in our collection and the way that people are using it. So we coordinated with our operations manager, who was able to create an analytic report of all the maps that have been checked out within the last 3 years, both checked out of the library, but also used internally within the library, things that we have also created digital scans for patrons. So out of those 10,000-ish maps, Zach's nodding his head, yes, so 10,000-ish maps, he was able to create this map that you see that shows the diversity of places that people are interested in geographically. The more saturated the hue, the more checkouts there are. So how we use this in the future is still being decided. I think it's very informative because it tells us, what people are interested in researching, but also where we might have a higher concentration of maps within the collection and where we might have collection gaps. I told Susan, because I'd been watching a show recently on Netflix that took place in Patagonia, nobody's looking at Patagonia and what an interesting place that is. And, maybe we need to think about those things. But we then think about in addition to how people are researching, how we can also use this to direct people within the library too and create these access points, pointing out these parts in our collection so that they can go directly there and see the things that are exciting or important, develop new exhibits and maps and more events and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's become very beneficial, and it's something that we want to keep doing periodically going into the future as well, so we can get snapshots, maybe every few years about how the collection is changing and how research is developing.
I think that's the end for us. So thank you, and we're happy to talk any questions.
I'm going to jump in with a question to just get it started because he's here. So,
Yeah.
so Can you tell us about your experience? You didn't know you were going to be put on the spot, but tell us about your experience.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Zach. I'm a student library employee / new GIS technician at the Earth Sciences and Map Library. Yeah, generally my experience there has been awesome. Susan and Karen are just such supportive, really empowering supervisors, and I'm just so honored to have them in my workspace. And just the way that they're able to support my desire to grow in the geography and the GIS field and just gain new opportunities and things to learn to take with me in the future has just been so invaluable to me too. This project has been great too, just like thinking new ways of having people, not only for us, like they were explaining to like new insights of what is actually happening in the library with regards to the map usage, but also for patrons as well. I really wanted this to be a geographic index where people could find maps through a map. As I was developing this project, I was thinking of that too. It's like, well, the way that we find maps really in the library is the same way that we go about finding books, just kind of looking through lists and catalogs. But why not kind of redesign that in a certain way to have people zoom in geographically to a place to see what maps are being used there? Yeah, so it's been awesome so far. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for just maybe one question. Yes, sir.
Great.
Has a big old Greyhound bus.
Oh yeah.
Do you know that's a collector's item?
Whoa.
Um,
That's a 1965 style bus.
Okay.
yeah, I think that was my husband's from the 80s. So it's like, yeah. I
All
know,
right,
I know.
Ken, here we go.
Quick question. What exactly is an air photo?
Ah.
You gotta look behind you.
Good question. An air photo is a photograph that's there's a camera often strapped to the bottom of an airplane, and they take a photograph of the Earth from the air, and so it's a really great tool for seeing historical landscape change, things that might not get captured in a map.
And at one point, pigeons also. Oh, yeah.
160. Eleanor.
Can we go online and purchase a print of one of your maps? Do you have that capability?
No.
Not yet?
No, you can all of the things that we make available online are free. So you can take them and take it to your local copy shop and get them printed yourself. But we don't offer printing ourselves. It's an ongoing struggle.
Yes.
All right, one more, and then we gotta keep going.
I love this map museum and your archive, but do you have a public portal? You know, one of the challenges for a member of the public to get into an academic library is you have to have a PhD just to figure out how to work the page. And what you've talked like trying to find the student projects and stuff, do you have a way for just the public who doesn't have a Berkeley Library card to access the collection?
I do see what you're saying, and LibGuides, the way that we organize information is through this platform called LibZaps, and there's LibGuides, and the way that we organize it has been on our radar because we do want to make those access points easy to understand with as few clicks as possible. For now, until that happens, where you can find exhibits like these and other collection information, if you go to the library's main site, which is berkeley.lib.edu, and then there is at the top a navigation that says Find Us or Find a Library, and then you'll have all the libraries available. So if you choose us, there's two portals that you might be interested in. One is Maps and Collections, which is just a hyperlink that will go into a page that will introduce the main types of things that we have in our collection. There will be some digital resources, and we try to keep it as open access as possible, so you don't necessarily have to be a Berkeley student or community member to engage with them and to learn from that point forward. And then the other thing you'd be interested in is the library exhibits link. So you'll see Maps and Collections first. It's a little bit bigger, and then underneath there's resources, and you'll get the library exhibits. And also we can put up this QR code will also take you to the exhibits page too. And you'll see IDON and ESMAs, but also a collection of archived exhibits there too.
Can I just the last thing is come visit us and talk to us. So that's the main thing is we're open to the public.
Great.
That's right. Eleanor is saying California taxpayers can get a Berkeley Library card. Yeah. So thank you so much, and we'll be around all day.
Thank you, Karen and Susan. Thank you so much.